Okay, so you know what? The day in which we live, and we live in a day that it seems to be Good Friday. You know, Good Friday was the day when Jesus was crucified, as you know, and it seems to be one Good Friday after another. In other words, there's hopelessness in the world, and that's how it looked to the disciples. They were hopeless when their Savior and their Lord was crucified. But if you take a look around you, friend, all that is good and true and pure is literally being nailed to a cross daily, as it were. The hearts of men and women and boys and girls and young and old are filled with fear and pessimism and hopelessness. So tell me something. Can hope be found in all of this? Does hope have a face? Is there a reason that you can be hopeful in hopelessness, or what seems to be hopelessness? You know, the famous Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky, he expressed the heart-rending despair of hopelessness when he penned these well-known words. Here's what he says: "To live without hope is to cease to live. To live without hope is to cease to live." In other words, what an anchor is to a ship, hope is to your soul. What an anchor is to a ship, hope is to your soul. You see, they both stabilize whatever needs to be held steady amidst the storms of life. Somebody says, "Corville, what is hope?" Well, hope is a favorable and confident expectation relating to the future. Let me say it again. To be hopeful is to have a favorable and confident expectation relating to your future. You know, there's a story about John Todd. He was a 19th century minister and a pastor. And in his autobiography, he tells a story of how his kind-hearted aunt became, listen to this, the face of hope for him when at age 6 years old, both his parents died suddenly. So years later, she was seriously sick, and he writes her this encouraging letter. And here's what he says in the letter. He says, "It is now 35 years since I, as a boy of 6, was left quite alone and hopeless in the world. You sent me word that you would give me a home and be a kind mother to me. I have never forgotten that day that I made the long journey to your house. I can still recall my disappointment when instead of coming for me yourself, you sent your servant Caesar to fetch me. I remember my tears and my anxiety as I perched high on your horse and clinging tight to Caesar, I rode off to my new home. Night fell before we were finished the journey," he says, "and I became lonely and afraid. 'Do you think she'll go to bed before we get there?' I asked Caesar. 'Oh no,' he said reassuringly. 'She'll stay up for you. When we get out of these here woods, you'll see her candle shining in the window.' Presently we did ride out into the clearing, and there, sure enough, was your candle. I remember you were waiting at the door that you put your arms about me, and I was a scared bewildered little boy. You had a fire burning and a hot supper waiting for me on the stove. After supper, you took me into your arms and you prayed for me, and you sat beside my bed while I said my prayers and sat beside me until I fell asleep." He goes on, he ends this way, he says, "God can be trusted to do as much for you as you were kind enough to do for me years ago. You were my face of hope. At the end of your life's road, you will find love and a joyful welcome awaiting you, and you will be safe in God's arm." He is the ultimate face of hope. The ultimate face of hope. It's not a wonderful story. Well, Pastor Bobby, we call him, his name is Bobby McIntosh. He's here from Jamaica for a good reason. And I want him to tell you in his own words exactly, because he's the face of hope for many who are hopeless in a country that has, listen, they call it third world, or sometimes they call it a country that's developing. But we know what happens, what can happen there when people have no money and no hope and so forth. So he's a pastor there in one of the it is fair to say, a depressed area in Kingston, Jamaica. And let him tell you in his own words. So Pastor Bobby, welcome to At the Cross Live.
My pleasure.
Yes. So you're here for
sir.
a concert that's being done by Reverend Fred Mitchell. And he wanted to be here himself, but he just couldn't be. He just died. He couldn't be here. So, but he works through you down in Jamaica.
Yes.
Yeah, and through Ark Compassion Ministries. And you are the recipient of some of the stuff that comes from here to Jamaica to be distributed to the people. So tell me, you are in other words, you are literally the face of hope for many who are hopeless. And we all need a face of hope.
We sure do.
Yes.
We sure do.
So tell us what's happening. What happens down there?
Well, let me start by saying Fred has led a drive here in Toronto where he brings a number of people together to give gifts. Gifts primarily to schools that will go out to the children, clothing, computers, books, lots of computers, a lot of clothes, shoes, sportswear. He does all these things and he packages it, brings it to Jamaica. And so I get involved by making all the necessary applications to get these goods cleared through government, through our school. We have a school also in Jamaica, in Waterhouse. And once these are cleared, he comes in, he takes it off the wharf, and he starts the distribution process.
Yes.
And so he gets these stuff into the different communities.
Yes.
Now, there are desperate people out there. And when I say desperate, people who lack, who many of them have no clothes. And so the clothes that they get from him is the clothes that they have to wear. And so it is a blessing, but it's not just a handout. He takes it into schools. And so schools are the beneficiaries of the gifts. Once the schools receive it, they're able to help the students, and they work different programs. So he does this. Fred comes in, we are his host in Jamaica, and we work together like that.
Yes,
just to get the goods out.